here's what we're going to start with today for our journal. So this is going to be the outside. So you need these 2 pages here. And these are both, these are printed on both sides. And then there is also the smaller section that will be on the inside cover of these. It's just one of each of these on a single page, and so you'll want to cut these out. Now, first of all, before you, and there's a couple of things. Now, when I designed these, I marked that you might want to score along here first before you cut that off, because this is nice and flat and straight at this point. So you could bump it up, to get your score line, going from top to bottom. But depending on how, what you are using for a scoring tool, you might want to just go ahead and trim that off, and then you can, line it up in your tool to score, because I've got this little hairline mark across here, and you'll be able to line that up on the track. Like I've got one thing that I can line it up in the track and make sure that it is straight. So depending on, what you're using, maybe you use a ruler, and, hold it up against there and start your score. So, either way, you've got the line so you can tell exactly where it needs to be scored. So now I've got these scored, and you want to score them like this because this section is going to be the spine, and then we'll cut out all of these other, the other outside edges on both of these pages. Okay, so now once you get these cut out and you've got the spines scored, then you're going to glue these sections together. But before you do that, if you are wanting to put something in here for a spine, or not a spine, for like a kind of a dangle or bookmark. Now it's not going to really be like a traditional bookmark. There's not going to be any pages that are attached to the spine, unless you want to, put some there, after the fact, which you could. I mean, this is going to be a very versatile layout, and there's a lot of things that you could do going forward, okay? But that's not what we're going to do today. And so one of the things that I had thought that would be a lot of fun would be to take one of the keys. The key was included if you were part of the paper voyage. And so there was this key. And so what I am going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of, actually I'm just going to take it right off my spool because that looks so nice. I'm not even going to mess around with that. I want to take a little bit of this cotton crochet thread, and I'm just going to take enough that I can put it, I'm going to secure it into the key like this. I'm going to have to do this. I'm going to have to cut it. So I want enough that it's going to be down into the spine, not really super far. Let's do this. Okay. Let me see how long that is. That's about 16 inches. So I'm going to drape it up here. And now I'm questioning if I gave you enough in the pack, but not everybody who makes this is going to have access to that pack. I wonder if I can get that through that top section of the key. I wanted to do just a little overhand knot through here, and I really didn't care if it was, just exactly even. There we go. I finally got it. Okay. And just pull it through here so it kind of has a little bit of, dangle to it. And what I want to do is I want to make sure, okay, here is this is going to be the part that doesn't show. So I want to do that. I want to kind of make sure I know how far this is going to hang in here, which I don't want it to just completely dangle out the back, right? It doesn't have to, it's one of those things. It's just like, how you want it. When it's going to be just right for you. So I'm going to actually use a paper clip right here for now. so I know exactly how far I want it down there. So I'm just going to use a paper clip. And now as I put it on this side, I'm going to kind of fray these a little bit, and I don't care if they're even, because actually that's going to be more beneficial if they're not. And I'm going to kind of unwind these a tiny bit so that they are flatter in this section. Okay? So I don't need those because I want them to be looser, unwound so that I can get them more loose right here as I glue them in. Does that make sense? So I actually want to kind of unwind them. Oh my goodness. So this might take me a second. Okay, I'm gonna pause a second while I get those unwound, you guys. Okay, this is what I was going for. It was to kind of fray it out so that it's not so thick right here, laying in the spine. I wanted it to be a little bit looser and flatter, and that was what I was going for. So now then, I've almost got it too loose up here. I'm gonna put a little bit more glue right there and just kind of tap that down. Now it's still going to be between the two layers, but that's how I wanted it because I didn't want it too thick. And I'm going to go ahead and kind of trim these off at different lengths right here so that they also are not just one big glob in here. Okay, and then I'll do the other one. I'll fray it out and get that glued down there, and I will be right back. And also what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to go ahead and before I fray it at all, I am going to just put a dot of glue right there because now I've got it where I want it on this side right here, and the length is all together. So I don't want that to, be the wrong length once I start fraying it. So I've turned it over and put just a dot of glue right there to hold it in place exactly where I want it. Okay, that really is amazing how tightly those fibers are wound. So now if you flip it over and you need to adjust this, if you didn't get them exactly where you wanted them, just go down here, loosen up this section here, and then you can kind of, straighten those out and pull it down. And then you can even that back out. And then you're still good to go, okay? So that was part of what we're going to use that cotton crochet thread for. Okay, now then, let's flip this over and we're going to glue these two sections together like this. Okay, so just get that on there, and let me see, I might be in a little close at this point. Let's move it out a little bit so you can try and see. And now we're just gonna do this, and so just use whatever kind of glue that you like to use for your paper glue. Maybe you like to use Fabri-Tac. This is that reptile glue that I use all the time, and but I do like to use a liquid glue because it gives me just a little bit more time, and I can put such a little bit of this on and know that it's going to hold. So now we're going to put that on and just put the back on right here. Now make sure when you get this on, you're going to kind of fit it there. Make sure you flip it over and make sure that it still folds where this inside seam is. Make sure that that folds nicely, and that you've got your tops even. And we've got a little bit of wiggle room. If you get it together and you need to trim off a little bit here, that's okay. It's going to work fine. And these aren't going to be exactly touching to where you're going to notice it anyway. So you're more than likely going to be just fine with that. Now, these two pieces, these were not double-sided, and they just go one on each side here. And that is purely for giving it a little bit more strength, and that's all. If you want to put chiffon on for your ties, I've got a couple of yards of chiffon. I can't even really say it. If you want to do that, you might take a long length and put it, cut a length off, put it right here on the edge, and then put your panel on, okay? And I'm backtracking here because I forgot to do that in here. So you would put your chiffon in and then cover your side panel. And the same thing over here. Put your chiffon ribbon right here, and then you lay your panel on, glue your panel on over the top of it. So, you know, when you print things like this, there's only, you know, there's only so much strength of paper that you can get through your printers, right? And now these have gone, and whether you're printing at home or you have some that have come from a professional printer, you know, we're still going to need that strength here because we're not using any chipboard in this construction. Okay, so I'm going to put this here. I'm just going to line up the edges. Get this here. Just line up your outside edges, and you can see we've got, it doesn't come, it might not come clear to the center there. You might have a little bit of a gap, and that's okay. That's why we've got that printed in the same pattern, so we're not going to worry about it. And we'll have plenty of room. It's going to, like I said, it's going to give you a little bit more structural integrity there on your building, and yet at the same time it's not going to be too thick, and you don't have to worry about having any big gaps that are miscolored. Okay, I'm not doing inking. And I should say, you know, if you want to do some inking on your project as you go along, you know, that's purely up to you. Maybe you want to ink the outside edges, and it's just all a personal preference, right? Some people like inked edges, some people don't. So we're going to put this in here, and this is going to be the inside of our cottage, our little garden cottage. Now if you wanted to, and you wanted to just do a little bit of a you know, rounded edge on your outside corners, you could do that. But now here's our little key right here. I almost wish I would have left it a little bit longer, but that's okay. That's gonna be fine. But by doing it the way I showed you, you know, I don't have, you know, too much bulk in here. In fact, I can't really even notice it too much there at all. And I'm really happy about that. And it looks like I didn't get my pages lined up exactly there. It's gonna be good, you guys. It's gonna fit. Okay, so let's move on. Let me grab what's next. Here's our 4 pieces that we're gonna use next. And this is what they look like on the backs. Okay, this is gonna be on the inside. So we're gonna score these at 3/8 of an inch. Now let me show you where you want to score them. Okay, so the one with the table with the legs, you're going to score it, and I'm going to actually score this lightly on both sides, okay, so that it will score nicely. I want to show you, I want to make sure you know where you're scoring, okay. So 3/8 of an inch, we're going to do it from the bottom floor line. Let me get my blade out of the way. So 3/8 of an inch. And like I said, I'm just going to go flip it and do it on both sides so that it will fold real nice. Okay, so 3/8 of an inch there. And then we're going to do it on the top edge of this piece, 3/8 again. And this paper, you know, and part of this is determined kind of like by your paper. If you printed this on paper that wasn't, you know, super thick, you might not want to, I don't know that I don't think I didn't score it right, you guys. I did on one side and not the other. So make sure you're scoring 3/8 of an inch on both sides. My goodness. Okay. And now on these you're going to score on one of the long sides, okay? So you want your the boards, you want them going vertical, all right? So 3/8 of an inch again. And 3/8. All of these are going to be 3/8 of an inch. And a lot of these pieces, you guys, I just cut them out with scissors. And this one, it doesn't matter because it's just got this plain pattern on the back. It's like a plaster wash. Our little garden cottage has some plastered walls and kind of got a wash finish to them. So there we go. And now we'll put these on. So we're going to first we'll put the top on first. So what we're going to do is we are not going to have, we're not going to do like a hidden panel or a hidden fold, okay? We are just going to leave it just like this, but go ahead and fold it so you know where it folds, and it's going to open like this. So you will see this, but it's going to open like this, okay? And then put your glue on that little glue panel. That's exactly where we're going to put it, is just on that 3/8 of an inch that we put. And now put it in here and just kind of line it up so it's about halfway between your seam over here, your score mark there, and you'll have about almost 1/4 of an inch over here. So just kind of center it here. Okay, so we'll get that one there. The bottom, we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to go ahead and pre-fold it here. Just put our glue on so it's got kind of a floor look on this back side. And so we're going to put it here. And you want it to match up here. You want it to match at the bottom. Put it flush to the bottom. And make sure it's lined up here with the top panel. And there we go. So we've got this sweet little window over this table. And now you can open these up. Make sure it dries. Get it dried before you open it up. And this goes down here. So now when you open it, you can see the floor panel. Now this you want to, these are going to be facing this way, okay? So you want, when you open up those two panels, you want to see the plaster wash so that it matches in here. And I'm just gonna go ahead and, oops, that's the wrong direction. So with the plaster wash facing you, put your score lines, or fold them towards you. Okay. And you can just, fold them back flat. So now we're going to go ahead and put our glue on this. You guys, this is a fairly easy build, but it's going to leave you so much opportunity to work in here and have fun and do your own thing. Okay, now lay this here along this edge. You can line it up to make sure that it works, and then put this here. You might want to close this down and make sure that you don't have it peeking out. I mean, it's okay if it does, but it's kind of nice to have it hidden in here, I think. And then we're going to do the same thing with this one. You want to put your glue on the wood side. And for those of you who are part of the paper voyage, thank you so much for being so patient while I got all of this figured out this time. Okay, I'm going to push that in there so it's hidden away. It's got a little bit, maybe I'll just put it in a little bit farther. There, that's okay. Even if it's in a little bit, at least it's not sticking out the side. And that, my friends, makes me happy. Okay, so now this is what happens when you fold up the top and you fold these sections out, and you've got this down here. This becomes almost like a little room, and you've got these sides and your floor. So now you've got a little room in your cottage. How about that? Okay, now this side we're going to put a pocket in. I stopped my recording so I could go back in and tell you about how to put the chiffon ribbon in between, sandwich in between your layers. I'm not going to completely redo the recording. If you don't do that, or if you don't want to, there's plenty of it, and you could wrap it around the book, to just go ahead and wrap it a couple of times and tie it. It's still going to be pretty. Maybe you want to do that, and maybe you want to not glue it at all. Maybe you want to glue a little bit of it on the spine and have it wrap. It's totally up to you, but there's plenty of chiffon there to do whatever that you want to, to make you happy like that. So let's go on, and we're going to work on the pocket now. Okay, so here's the pocket. I have cut out the main lines on the pocket, and I have scored along these lines. These are little lines in here to be scored on. They're solid lines, but I wanted you to make sure that you saw where to score them. And once we fold, it's not going to make any difference. It's going to be just fine. So with that in mind, then all you have to do is just cut these other sections out. I just cut my square section out, or my rectangle. And now we're going to cut these along here. And just all of this colored part, that's going to be our pocket. And then I do have another a little trick here that I need to show you, a cut that because the score lines are straight lines, I need for you to know another special cut in here. Now, each of our village buildings is going to be something different. They're going to have a different, flavor, a different construction each time. And I think it'll be fun. It's a crafting experience, right? Okay, so now we've got those. Now, on this section right here, I want you to cut straight up on this line, just to the score. So I've already scored all of these straight lines. I've scored them already. So just like that. Okay, so now we're just gonna fold our scores. Just go ahead and fold them down, and I'm just gonna give them a rough fold to start with. Just kind of get them going, and then I will use, if you've got a bone folder, you can use that. If you want to use the side of the handles of your scissors, whatever, just so you can make sure your scores are nice and crisp for this, because it's going to be a pocket. And we're going to make a journal to go in this pocket. The journal you'll be able to put in and out of the pocket. Okay, so this part goes down at the top so that it gives it a nice edge at the top. So I'm just fiddling around. I know you probably didn't need to see all the fiddling around, right? But now make sure that you really crease them nicely, because by creasing them and giving a really crisp line, it's going to make your pocket, it's going to give you a better shape to your pocket. So just make sure you do all of those. Okay. Alrighty. Now, before I do anything else, I want some glue on the top. You want your glue to be kind of toward the outside edges here for sure. Try not to get it too much in the crease or in the score lines. That'll just make it harder to fold. Okay, so we're going to fold it in there like that and give it a minute so that it goes ahead and, it adheres on here. You want to have a nice crisp line. Can you see how our pocket is coming together here? Okay, and so now what I would do is I would put some glue on this little tab and this one. Fold those over so that those grab in there. You want to make sure that you're kind of making sure it's all squared up. And you might want to use like a, I don't know, the end of a pencil or something so that you can kind of get those down there. You don't want those things sticking out there and catching on anything, right? Okay. All right. Now we're ready to go ahead and get our glue on all of these sections. I try to make these kind of bigger so it would be easier for you to work with and get them glued down. So all of these 3 edges, we're going to put our glue on all 3, and then we're going to put it on this right section. You know, you could, if you did forget, I guess I actually could go ahead and still put my chiffon, you know, behind this pocket if I wanted to, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the fact I forgot. Although it's not going to look cute like I'd planned. Yeah. Okay, and now we're going to put this down here at the bottom. Put it in a little bit from the edge. Kind of make sure you've got it lined up. Okay, and there we go. Can you see I've got it about equal distance from my side here and over here. It's pretty much flush at the bottom. Now I'm going to take something in here and be able to press down my edges there. Make sure that the edges are reaching. That's not even long enough. I need something longer, you guys. Here's a longer paintbrush. A ruler would have been good. And just get those down there. Okay, now we've got our pocket there. Okay, now we've got this front cover, and this one, it just go ahead and cut it out of the page just like you see it. You're just going to trim off the top and the bottom here, and then that's going to be the cover. It's a double-sided piece as well, so trim off that top and bottom, and then you're going to score it in the middle, and that is going to be your that's going to be your cover for your removable journal. Phew, almost didn't get all that out, you guys. One of the ways that is kind of easy if you are you know, trying to score something that is in a middle zone or whatever, and I did make the marks on the page before you cut it off if you wanted to do that. But another thing that you might do is you pick your place on here. Like I'm going to do 6 inches here, and then I can run my stylus down through here, and then I know I'm still in that track. Some people even mark it with a marker or something. They have a specific line that they mark on their scoring tool so that they know where that line is. So I'm just going to do that and score it right down the middle. Okay. And now we've got a tall, this can be a tall skinny journal. It's not quite as tall as a whole, you know, half sheet of paper, but now we've got that. Now we can go ahead and we can even take our pages now, and if we want to score all of our pages for the inside of the journal, we can do that at this point too. You've got 8 pages to score down the middle, but what you want to do is you want to cut these. You're going to have to cut some top or bottom. And some of these, you might look at them and you might decide, okay, I don't care. I'm going to cut, you know, all of it, the whole section I need at the bottom. Or you might look at it and say, I want to leave, you know, this part on here. I'm trying to find one I was thinking about. Like maybe if you want all the writing up here, maybe you cut most of yours off of the bottom. So do you see what I mean? Or like on this one that's got this botanical print, maybe you want to for sure leave all the botanical print from the bottom up. And so maybe you want to cut all of your section of this one off the bottom. Or maybe you maybe you like this part up here that makes a little border and you want to cut it all off at the bottom. So you just have to be mindful of that. And now this right here, your journal cover is 9 and 5/8 inches. Or no, let me see. No, it's roughly 9 and 3/4. So if you want to do your pages about 9 and 5/8, that would be good. It'll give you a little bit of a border around the top and the bottom. Now this is folded directly in half. These papers are not going to be so many that it's going to give you a lot of creep, which is like when you fold your signature in half and they start, you know, coming out this way. That's called page creep. And so with these, you're not going to have that many. Now this is going to be you're going to have fun here. We're going to do something to where if you want to add some other things, you can. So I'm going to take this minute and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trim my pages off. Okay, so I'm going to be right back. Okay, now I've got pieces that I've cut off, and you can see some of them I cut from the top and the bottom. And so now I'm just going to fold these in half, and you don't really need anything to score with to fold them in half, but I would fold each of them individually. And some of them you might want to fold with the they all have one side that kind of has design on them and then one side that doesn't. So some of them you might want to fold one way and some the other. Somehow I think in here I've got 2 pages, and now I don't know if that's how they all are. I don't know. I'm not sure. But just go ahead and fold them in half. We all know how to fold in half, right? And just alternate. So some of them have a or do them all if you want all of the solid pieces on one side. You can do that. Just depends. And who knows? Maybe you don't know how you want it until you actually start assembling the pages, and then you can have a better idea of how you want them laid out. But these were all cut at 9.5 inches. And that gives me just a little bit of room. Okay, so now then I can go ahead and I can assemble them and see if I like the way they look when I open them. That one I don't like that one. This one has more of kind of a little bit of a pinkish tone. This one has a little bit more of a grayish blue color. Don't really like those together. Let me see if I've got another one that's got kind of more of the pink tone to it. Well, I'm gonna fold this one like this. There, I like that better. One of these, I can't tell whether it looks more like it's got writing on it or if it looks like it's texture. I don't even know. And then that middle part would be plain. So just play around with it, decide how you want it. Okay, but I will say, okay, we've got this little bit of page creep here. And once you put it in your little cover, it's going to come out a tiny bit. But the way that we're going to deal with that is you can put this cotton crocheted lace around the edge. And once you get that around the edge, it's going to bend nicely around these edges. You can bend it if you want to make those to where they are curved corners. You could do that. And then once you put it on here and it's hanging out over this edge, then you're not going to know, okay? You're not going to see that at all. Or if you want to trim those off, you know, you can do that. It's just up to you. But there's not so many pages in here that it's going to really make or break your little journal, right? But if you feel strongly about it, maybe you want to cut off, you know, a tad bit of these pages before you do that. And if you were going to do that, I would probably on each one of them trim about, I would probably actually just fold them in half and then trim off like about 1/8 of an inch is all. And, you know, you would be good to go. So it just is, you know, a lot of this stuff is just your personal preference, you guys. It doesn't matter. But now I'm going to show you how we're going to bind the little, the book this time. And you know what? The way that we're going to do this, you could even go back and do it differently. But this is what we're going to do. We're going to take each one of these and we're going to give it a little curve around here. Now, if you've got a good, corner cropper. If you've got a good corner cropper, use that. Otherwise, just take your scissors and on each of those 8 pages, just go ahead and give it a tiny little bit of a curve on this inside section, okay? See, I should have done that before I chose which sides I wanted to go together, right? It doesn't matter. It's going to work. It's going to work. I tell you, it's going to work. And there's only 8 on here, so it's not like this is going to take you forever. We're just going to do it real quick here. Give it a little snip. You guys, I need a new corner rounder. I do not know what has happened to mine. Well, I do know. I've got one that really works better, you know, for heavier papers. And then, but my small one that I used to have, it just quit working. And I was really disappointed. I've had a couple. One quit working and one completely like just broke. It just fell apart. So that's never fun, is it? You know, I do have these all lined up the way that they came out of here. So that'll be nice. And like I said, whatever you want to put around the edge. And if you want to put your cotton lace on that edge, you can either do it just along that edge. You can go all the way around. There's plenty to go all the way around if that's what you want to do. So with what I gave you, you can do it either way. Okay, so now I'm just going to lay these back in here. And you're probably thinking, why in the world did we do that? What was she thinking? But I'm going to show you in just a second what she was thinking. Okay. Okay. Now, first, I forgot about this part. Before we go any further, there is a pocket that we're going to put right here. And you can take the satin ribbon and make ties. You can either insert ties in here, or you can use your satin ribbon and go all the way around and just have it, you know, wrap clear around if that's what you want to do. But I made this to be a little pocket in here. So I'm going to put this right here. And you might even put a little bit of ink on the edge so you can see what that is. And if I'm going to do that, I'm probably going to do it right now. This might have a little bit of ink already on it. I'm going to see. I'm going to check it out. A friend of mine gave me these. Somebody had told us about them from the Dollar Tree, and she gave me a couple of these. I'm like, well, that was sweet of her. Yeah, it does have a little bit. Okay, so we've got a little bit there. So now that I see that it does have a little ink, I think what I'm going to do first is go ahead and make a tiny little thumb notch here. Because that is so light colored, it's going to be hard to see. So that way we can see that there is something there. It's got a little bit of a pocket. And that's going to look fine with the rest of what we've got going on in there, right? And this is almost like another little, plastered wall look. Now, if you need to, make any different pages, or you want to add to some or swap them out, you've got the files. So now I just need to make sure that it's not in the way of our score line, right? So there we go. Now we're going to take these, and I'm going to use a little clip. And if you want to make something pretty in the center so that you have something that's a little bit more, let's flip this one. Let's flip it the other direction so we've got something clear across. Okay. And I'm going to grab some clips, a couple of clips. Now we are not going, and this is totally optional. If you want to sew the signature in to this booklet, that's totally up to you. Okay, so I'm going to stack these up. And I'm going to put them right here in my book. Just like this. I'm gonna do 4 of these, although look at me, I've only got three clips. It's gonna be hard to do 4 clips since I've only got 3. I'm gonna clip them kind of close there. And now you guys, we are just gonna do a slip spine. And so we're gonna use this cotton crochet thread for this too. So you've got that on your card. If you got the Papercraft Voyage, or the Paper Voyage, it's not Papercraft. So it came with all of these. And the key. Okay, now we're going to do this. And you can either, if you want to tie it on the outside or the inside, that's up to you. And so I'm going to do 4 times. And I'm not going to do it super, super tight. Whoops. Let's do this. Let's actually grab that there. And this is why we made that little notch there, because that is a easier way for these to catch in that spine. And we're going to shoot for 4 times. So 3, we're going to do 4 around here. And you don't want to tie it so tight that you're making it buckle up at the top, but make sure you've got this in the center there. And you know what? You could, and I didn't even think to do that. I should have made, I'm going to take this off. Hang on a second, you guys. I wish I would have made the tiniest little divot up there. Hang on one second. I've got about 50 things going on at my house. Okay, I'm just going to take this smallest little bit here and just round it a tiny bit. And same thing down here. And it's just going to help that catch better. Okay. Okay, so now we've got our 4, including this part that we're tying. Okay, so 3 plus this one. And we're just going to snip this off and give it a little tie. I'm just going to tie a little knot. You can tie a little bow if you want to. I'm just going to do a little knot. I'm going to have to tighten that up a little bit. One of the best suggestions I have for that is, like, when you're tying it, turn it like this, and then you've got, you know, a place that you can stick your finger while you're tightening it. You know, then you can get it wrapped over. I should have left those longer. There we go. Whoops. Oh my goodness. What in the world? Sometimes these little things are the biggest challenge, right? Okay, there we go. So I've got my little knot right there. And, you know, it's going to hold. That's going to hold our pages in there. It's going to be an easy little slip spine. We didn't make it so tight so that if you want to add some other papers in to your journal, you can do that. It's going to be just fine. You can add your little, you know, pages in. So then we've got this cute little look right here. And then if you want to take your satin ribbon, you can wind it all the way around. You know, if you want to do something else and you have a different thing that you want to put on the back, you know, you can do that. If you wanted to put your satin ribbon in, you know, you could have done it kind of low and put it here in the pocket. And here we've got this fun little chair. You could have put this back here in the back side. But we've got some fun embellishments to do. And we've got these big, you can use these for tags if you want to. I purposefully did not mark holes in them because maybe you don't want to use them for, you know, tags. Maybe you want to use it as kind of a fun journal card. Maybe you want to use it as something here. Maybe you want to make an entire tuck spot like this on here. It's totally up to you. But there's also included, we've also got this piece here. And if you wanted, you know, some more pieces like this, you could take one of these and just trace around. And, you know, then you've got a piece that is, you know, similar. Or maybe you want this side. And if you are, and, you know, if you wanted more that looked like this, maybe you could print some of them out because you have access to the digital files on this kit, you guys. And I'm so happy to be able to offer that to you now. Okay, now where did our book go? Oh, here we go. Here's our book. Our journal is going to go right in here so that we can put, and it's got plenty of room if you want to, you know, add the lace around the edge. It's got plenty of room to do that. It's not going to be too tight. If you put your ribbon around it, it's not going to be too tight. And, you know, maybe you put this big easy chair, you know, maybe you put this big easy chair over here. It's just up to you. Whatever you want to do, you guys. There is lots of, you know, lots of options for decorating now. I did not overbuild this and overstuff it with a ton of stuff. I wanted this to be your journal and your book to be able to, you know, to really use in ways that are not, you know, totally over designed, and there's really not a lot of room for you to do other things in. And you could, you know, kind of soften these corners if you wanted to. You could round those off a little bit. But there you go. That is basically the build of the entire book. So if you have any questions, let me know. We've got these other little things, a few of these. And again, you could, you know, print out some more and use that same little shape for whatever you would like to use. If you've got other suggestions or things that maybe you would like to see next time, let me know. I'm thinking that for this one, I still might be able to get my my chiffon ribbon in over here. I might just have to make the edges, fold the edges under, and I could glue it along the side there. And I could right here too, because that was so disappointing that I forgot to do that. And, you know, I needed to get this out to you guys so that you had the instructions for the basic build. So you guys, I hope that you enjoy it, and I can't wait to see yours and all the things that you go ahead and add into yours. So there you go. You've actually got a journal to work on and play with, and I hope you love it. I really had fun making it, and this is just our first journal in our series. The other ones, like I said, will be different. This is our tall, skinny garden cottage, and I hope you love it. I'll talk to you later, guys. Bye-bye.